Is the new Hacivat X an improved Hacivat? Let's review it and find out. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So of course you already know the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below if you love fragrances, and also make sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. So today we are reviewing the new Hacivat X, and honestly when this collection got announced I was so excited about it. Of course, me being a huge fan of the original Hacivat, which I have right over there, I just had to get my nose on this one. And we'll talk about if it actually lived up to the hype or it was a disappointment. And if you didn't know, the X collection is actually a 10-year anniversary for Nishane. So they came up with Ani X, which I actually want to get my nose on as well because I love Ani, one of my favorite vanillas. Of course, Hacivat X, I believe Fan Your Flames X, 100 Silent Ways X, etc. So they have come out with quite a few in this collection. And I wasn't really sure what I would be expecting from the collection. I thought maybe it would be like more darker, kind of rugged versions of the originals, but that's actually not necessarily the case, especially at least with this one. I do actually want to shout out So Avant-Garde for sending this over for review. Of course, that's not going to change my opinions about the fragrance or anything like that, but of course I did hook you guys up with a discount code. FragHunter20 is going to save you 20% off of Hacivat X or anything else on the entire website. So definitely go ahead and get those savings. Let's go over some information now. Hacivat X was of course launched in 2023. As far as the retail price, on the two sizes you can get these in, you can get the 50 ml for $310, or you can get the 100 ml like I have in hand for $415. Now of course, you can use my discount code. That's going to save you 20% off of both of those prices. Concentration, just like all of the Nishanes, is actually an extrait de parfum, so you are getting the highest of perfume oils in your fragrance, which is always good, and these definitely wear like it. For the perfumer, it is actually Julian Rasquinet, which is kind of strange because he is of course a well-known perfumer, has a huge resume, but Jorge Lee was the original creator for the OG Hacivat, so I'm surprised they changed up perfumers with this one, because I know they kept the same perfumer for Ani and Ani X. With all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you're going to get with Hacivat X now. Alright, looking at the presentation with the box, I love the Nishane presentation. Of course, you have Hacivat X with the big X, kind of like in paint or lipstick maybe, in the back with Nishane in gold, extrait de parfum. Nothing on the bottom. On the side, you do have that Nishane logo. On the back as well, just some of your information as far as ingredients, and you also have your barcode right there to authenticate a product and see when it was produced. Nothing on this side, and you lift this up, which has a kind of standard black box with Nishane extrait de parfum, and it has a pull-out tab that's going to actually greet you with this kind of postcard if I can get it out. And here is the Hacivat X postcard, and also lists the notes right there as well, which is a nice touch with nothing really on the back. Just all in all, beautiful presentation when it comes to the box. Let's look at the bottle now. So of course, looking at the bottle, it is very similar to the original Hacivat. The only differences I see is you have Nishane in gold rather than like gray, and also of course that lipstick X on the back. And then on the bottom of the bottle you do have your sticker as well as a batch code right there. Nothing on the back, nothing on the sides. On top you have that Nishane logo, nothing inside the cap, nothing on the atomizer. And these don't necessarily click into place, but they do hold on by friction pretty snugly. As you can see, I can't pick it up by the cap. In the top, you have pineapple, bergamot, and pink pepper. In the middle, you have lime, orange blossom, and jasmine. And in the base, you have vetiver, patchouli, and cedarwood. And this will be classified as a fruity fresh. So let's spray this and test out these atomizers. Very nice distribution on these atomizers. Even though they're not pressurized, it sprays a ton of mist. So looking at that note breakdown, there is some differences to the original Hacivat. So let's go ahead and remind myself of this opening. So immediately when you spray Hacivat X, it will remind you of the original Hacivat. It has a very similar DNA, still in the same family, of course. You do get that like signature, very mouth-watering pineapple in here that is also known in the original. However, the pineapple in this one's actually much juicier, much more vibrant, and much fresher. So if you love the pineapple the way it was done in Hacivat, you'll absolutely love it in here as well. This honestly might be my favorite pineapple opening of any pineapple dominant fragrance I've smelled. Of course, when you think of pineapple, you probably think of Creed Aventus. That is like the fragrance that started this whole pineapple genre, and any fragrance that has pineapple in it now always gets compared to Aventus. Hacivat definitely did. A lot of people said it was a clone or inspired by Aventus, even though they came out around the same time, I think maybe a year later or something like that. However, the pineapple done in Hacivat X is one of the most natural, mouth-watering pineapples I've ever had the pleasure of getting my nose on. So if you love pineapple, you're gonna die for this. And honestly, the other notes that are listed, the bergamot and pink pepper, I'm not necessarily picking up on any of those just because of how dominant that pineapple is. So very similar opening between this and Hacivat, just fresher so far. Once we start making our way into the mid of Hacivat X is where things start to change quite a bit, because now it introduces the note of lime. And for me, I've always thought of the note of lime as one of the most refreshing notes that can be done in fragrances. And you are gonna get that very refreshing burst of lime right away, along with that pineapple. It's crazy because Hacivat always been a very fresh fragrance, and this one just takes it up like 2 notches fresher than the OG, which is crazy. Now, along with that lime, it also introduces orange blossom, which brings a fresh, floral, elegant kind of twist to it, along with the lime and pineapple. And don't worry, when you see orange blossom and jasmine listed in the mid of Hacivat X, it doesn't go into like an old lady kind of powdery white floral take by any means. It just brings a more luxurious, elegant kind of touch to the composition. And I believe jasmine was in the original Hacivat, which I don't recall picking up, and I'm also not really getting it in here. Finally, in the base is where it takes the biggest turn, like a complete 180 from the original Hacivat, because I don't know about you guys, but when I think of Hacivat, I think of pineapple and oak moss. Like, oak moss is one of the most dominant factors in that entire fragrance. In this one, however, they actually went away with oak moss completely, like completely axed oak moss out of the base and actually replaced it with vetiver, which is still earthy. So you are still going to get an earthy, kind of grassy, wet vetiver in here. So if you weren't necessarily a fan of oak moss in the original, which I know a ton of people weren't, that was probably the most hated factor about the original. It was either you loved Hacivat or you didn't. And if you were one of the people that didn't like it because of the oak moss, this is gonna be for you without a doubt. And for me personally, I actually really enjoy the note of oak moss because it's very masculine. It does bring an old school kind of touch to the fragrance as well. And when I noticed they took it out, I was kind of bummed out, I'm not gonna lie to you. But to be honest with you, I see exactly what they're doing with this one. It's just a way fresher, vibrant take on the original with no oak moss. And truly from the OG is still in the base with this one, just bringing that green earthiness that works perfect along with the vetiver. And I'm a huge patchouli fan, so if you love patchouli, don't worry about it, it's still in this beauty. How I would basically describe this fragrance to you guys is it's kind of like what Aventus cologne is to Aventus, which is of course a much fresher take on Aventus, but still carries that Aventus DNA. That's exactly what Hacivat X is to Hacivat. Would I say this fragrance is redundant if you already own Hacivat? It's yes and no, because if you're a big fan of this DNA, what you could do and what I'm probably going to do is keep Hacivat for the colder weather like fall and winter, and Hacivat X for the spring and summer. And like I said, if you were one of those people that weren't a fan of the original because of the oak moss, this is not redundant at all. The best seasons to wear this one, of course, like I just mentioned a second ago, this is a fresher take, so it will work better in the spring and summer. But if you only have this one, you can also pull it off in the fall. Maybe not necessarily like the hardcore, like cold winter months, because this stuff is just too citrusy, too fresh, too like mouth watering and juicy to push through the cold weather, even though it could be in an extrait de parfum. We'll talk about the performance a little bit later, but just the scent profile behind this one just screams like the warm months. For occasion, I actually think this one is more casual than the original, where that one could be dressed up perfectly, especially for a guy, like in a suit, a tuxedo, etc. This, however, I think does lean more casual and playful and fun, even though you could still dress it up perfectly, but at the end of the day, it is a little bit more casual of a fragrance. For gender, we actually have some things to say about it, because the original Hacivat definitely more masculine in my opinion. And you ladies are in luck if you're watching this one, because if you tried Hacivat and maybe you weren't a fan of it because it was masculine, this is going to be for you. This is way more unisex than the original Hacivat. I believe Nishane kind of thought about that when they were creating this one. They probably wanted to make it for both a man and a woman to pull off. And I think they did just that, to be honest, because of the white florals with the orange blossom in the mid. Of course, way more fresher with the lime and pineapple, and completely done away with that masculine oak moss, which in my opinion is one of the most masculine notes in fragrances. I can totally see a woman pulling this one off. So ladies watching this one, absolutely try this and sample it and see if you like it over the original. However, of course, guys can pull this one off as well. For age, where I think this one is way more youthful than mature like the original. And that kind of goes along with everything we've been saying today. Of course, fresher, more youthful, casual, playful, fruity. Basically a more unisex and youthful take on the original Hacivat. So I would probably say, even if you're a teenager watching this one, you got money to spend, you want to smell the best maybe in high school or even like college, things like that, this is going to be for you. Because I can see like teenagers and stuff not liking the original Hacivat, primarily because of the oak moss in there, which a lot of people could consider to be outdated because that was used a lot in like 80s, 70s, 90s masculine fragrances. So yeah, teenagers, definitely check this one out. And if you're in like the early 20s, etc., this is gonna be perfect for you. If you are a little bit older and mature, you can absolutely still pull this one off. It just does lean a little bit more youthful when you compare it to the OG. Now to wrap this review off, talking on the performance. So when it comes to the original Hacivat, that's actually known to be a beast mode nuclear fragrance, which it is. Going into this one, I was like, okay, if it's fresher, more vibrant, it probably is not going to perform as well as the original, but that's not the case, guys. This got above average performance when it comes to projection and longevity, which is very surprising on the way this fragrance comes across. I got easily probably up to like 12-hour mark of very solid longevity on skin. Even if you spray your clothes, this stuff's gonna last a few days, and probably even like a wash or two in the washing machine to get it completely out. So this is a very strong citrus, fruity, fresh fragrance that is going to push through the entire day with ease. And for the projection, people are going to smell you in a room, probably like an arm's length and a half away, of very good projection for a few hours after application. So don't even worry about that. It's not a fragrance you're going to have to reapply like midway through the day or nothing. And of course, being an extrait de parfum, you kind of expect it to perform that way. And this one absolutely does. So hats off to Nishane for creating this kind of scent profile that does push off the skin very nicely. At the end of the day, if I had to choose between Hacivat X and the original Hacivat, honestly guys, they're not so much redundant where I can't choose between either one of them, because I have this one for a specific situation and I have the original Hacivat for a specific situation. Even though I do prefer the pineapple in here, I do enjoy the freshness of this one, but I'm still a sucker for that oak moss base in the OG. It's both absolutely beautiful fragrances, and it's hard for me to choose the father Hacivat over the son Hacivat and vice versa. So that's gonna do it for my review of Hacivat X. Let me know down below if you had the chance to try this one or any of the X collection. I'm very curious about some of the others that I'm gonna have to get my nose on and review in the future. But besides that, leave a like on the video, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and you already know I'll catch all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.